The Sicilian expedition, 415 to 413 BCE, was one of the most ambitious and ultimately disastrous military campaigns in ancient history. It marked a crucial turning point in the Peloponnesian War, a conflict between the two leading city-states of Athens and Sparta that had already raged for over a decade. What began as a bold plan to expand Athenian influence into the Western Mediterranean ended in catastrophe, sealing the fate of the Athenian Empire. The expedition to Sicily, a vast and rich island far from Athens' homeland, was intended to be a decisive stroke in Athens' bid for dominance over the Greek world. But the campaign, marred by poor leadership, political infighting, and miscalculations, became a textbook case of imperial overreach. The defeat in Sicily not only shattered Athenian military power but also emboldened its enemies, leaving Athens vulnerable and precipitating its eventual downfall in the Peloponnesian War. This is the story of how the Sicilian expedition became Athens' fatal blunder, one that forever changed the course of the war and the history of ancient Greece. 1. The origins of the Sicilian expedition. By 415 BCE, the Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta had been dragging on for 16 years. Both sides had suffered considerable losses, and the war had reached a stalemate. Although the Peace of Nicias had been signed in 421 BCE, it was a fragile truce that neither side fully respected. Athens, under pressure to maintain its empire and expand its influence, began to look for new opportunities to tip the balance of power in its favor. Sicily, an island in the central Mediterranean, became the focus of Athenian ambitions. The island was home to several wealthy Greek city-states, including Syracuse, the most powerful among them. Sicily's strategic location and resources, especially its grain, made it a tempting target for Athens. The prospect of conquering Syracuse and gaining control of Sicily's wealth seemed like an opportunity to secure Athens' dominance not only over the Aegean but also in the Western Mediterranean. The idea of the Sicilian expedition gained momentum when Egesta, a small city on Sicily's northwestern coast and a rival of Syracuse, appealed to Athens for military aid in its conflict with the Syracusans. Egesta promised to finance much of the campaign, making it an attractive proposition for Athens. At the forefront of the campaign's advocates was the young and ambitious General Alcibiades, a charismatic and controversial figure who promised that a victory in Sicily would bring immense wealth and glory to Athens. Alcibiades, a brilliant but reckless politician, argued that conquering Sicily would be the first step toward building an Athenian empire that could dominate the entire Mediterranean. 2. The decision to invade. The decision to launch the Sicilian expedition was hotly debated in the Athenian assembly. While Alcibiades and his supporters pushed for the campaign, other more cautious leaders, such as the experienced General Nicias, opposed it. Nicias argued that Athens was already stretched thin by the ongoing war with Sparta and that the risks of such a distant campaign far outweighed the potential rewards. Nicias warned that Sicily was a large and formidable target, and that subduing Syracuse would require a massive military commitment. He feared that Athens could become overextended and vulnerable if it committed too many resources to the expedition. Despite Nicias' warnings, Alcibiades' vision of imperial expansion captivated the assembly. The prospect of a quick and decisive victory in Sicily was too tempting for many Athenians to resist. Alcibiades, with his persuasive oratory and promises of wealth, won the day. In a final effort to dissuade the assembly, Nicias proposed that the expedition should be on such a large scale that it would be impossible to organize, a move intended to discourage the campaign. Instead, this backfired, as the Athenians, eager for glory, approved an even larger force than originally planned. In the summer of 415 BCE, Athens prepared to send one of the largest military forces in its history to Sicily. 134 triremes, more than 5,000 hoplites, and thousands of additional troops, cavalry, and supplies. The expedition was led by 3 commanders: Alcibiades, Nicias, and Lamachus, a seasoned and capable general. 3. The fall of Alcibiades. Just as the fleet was about to set sail, a scandal erupted in Athens that would have profound consequences for the expedition. Alcibiades, the driving force behind the campaign, was accused of sacrilege. Specifically, the mutilation of religious statues known as herms, as well as participating in blasphemous secret rites. These accusations, while politically motivated, seriously undermined Alcibiades' position in Athens. Rather than risk a trial before the expedition, Alcibiades was allowed to sail with the fleet, but shortly after reaching Sicily, he was recalled to Athens to face charges. Sensing that his political enemies would condemn him, Alcibiades fled and defected to Sparta, offering his services to Athens' greatest enemy. Alcibiades' defection was a devastating blow to the expedition. Not only had Athens lost one of its most talented and visionary commanders, but Alcibiades also provided crucial intelligence to the Spartans, advising them on how to counter the Athenian strategy in Sicily. The removal of Alcibiades left the expedition under the divided leadership of Nicias,